Okay, well, I get back with you, so I can get it tried.
Yeah, it's
Okay, all right, great. Okay, thanks.
We were just gonna set it up. Thank you. Who's gonna run?
I got a bill for
It's 11 hours, so they can just-
$65 for a year right now. $55.73, you are right. I'll do for, keeping, and the issue again, until 6765, I'll do it.
Hi. Remember, was that, it's right here. Oh, it's, who usually runs, there's nobody in the Zoom to let participants.
The shot over there, yeah.
That's.
Oh, right, right, okay.
So
Brian does.
Yeah, that's just.
When people want to speak during public comment.
I can do that.
Thanks, Ryan.
Sure, I need 3 different people like that.
Sure did.
Yeah, and every time we say Ryan, then the attorney.
What's up?
6 to 9, 7 to 3.
Right, so what I did was add
We
these
just
two
took the-
tables.
Had it.
So this shows what.
So.
I need to plug in my computer.
Oh, okay.
Hi. Do this.
Thank you. I'm going. Pretty good, how are you? Well, thanks.
That
Do you want a different chair, Jeff?
Oh.
That
No,
one.
I'm fine.
You want to get here?
Call the minute order 11:33, about here. Wuchakag is present, Boggs. Here. Archie. Yeah. Carrie,
Here.
Holland. Yapley,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Pagano,
Here.
Damos. Here. Let's go to the last month's minutes, approval of last meeting minutes.
Well, the minutes are not in the packet.
Shemail them up, Linda posted them,
They're posted
she posted them on the website.
website on Thursday evening.
Yep.
This week.
Really? Cause I just
Yeah.
printed this off today.
They were posted, I got it.
Meetings of the last minutes. The last meeting's minutes were posted to the Scio Township DDA website last Thursday. I did not make copies of them.
Yep, they're on the website. They were linked to the last agenda, but they weren't part of the agenda item. Why they
Want to
weren't.
push them forward to the next meeting instead?
Push it forward to the next meeting.
Okay.
Move to our public participation, got 3 minutes. Let's hear from the public,
People in person first.
internet,
Anybody in person? No.
anybody in person?
Anybody online wish to speak at this time? We got 3 people online. Nobody? Think we're good?
See nobody, we'll move the next item, the special report side, let's go to the supervisor's report first.
Well, the board had an agenda item for the DDA at the last meeting, so in between our meetings. And there's some items on there. I think I hopefully you received them. Okay, I emailed a couple things, but that had to do with something. Oh, the Jackson Road, the joint meeting for what day is that? There's so many meetings. The 14th or the 19th?
It's the 19th.
19th, there we go. Yeah.
4 o'clock.
And then the big discussion, of course, is the DDA and the different attachments that they had uploaded. At that point, Linda, thank you for attending. Gus, you attended So that's about it. We'll have more discussions. I have some ideas to present, regarding this, that discussion later.
Same thing on my report. I have nothing new not much really. I got a report from Act Peerless here for which it's gonna explain the capture of the DDA. I was, of course, on the meeting on Tuesday on the board of trustees. And we had we started a case, what it needs to be done and how can we work together. And I'm pretty sure Dave is over here with Kathy over here, and I think three of them of the members of the BOT. So we're gonna sit down and go over this more carefully. On the landscape, when I move on, everything looks well. The guys doing a good job. They're gonna fix the Jackson, the Parkland area with the trees. They're gonna cut the tree down. That's the best way, instead of just trimming the says, gonna keep doing the same thing because it throws berries on the walk. It's not much of a tree anyways. But he's gonna cut that, he's gonna fix it right. He says, I can patch it for $100, so I can do it, says for $765, so I thought do it right, so it doesn't erode again.
Oh, great, thank you.
So
I'll let that,
he's gonna have it done this week.
Lee, but it's not,
With a B.
with a B. Yes. We know who he is. We'll contact him. Thank you.
Super. So on the bills, that bill needs to get paid. $765 to Nature's Choice. So note approval, got it.
Yeah, I would just make a motion to approve the payment of $765 to Nature's Choice Outdoor Services.
I second.
Yep.
Nagano?
Approve.
Yeah, approve. Gary?
Approved.
Smith? Approve. Alex? Yes. Right, approve.
Yes,
Yes.
perfect. I'll get that routed.
Going to, don't have any other bills, Ryan?
Not that I've received now.
Well, let's go into the brownfield. Gentlemen, can you give us some, you give us a report here? I'm not familiar with 100% like I told you on the brownfield. You do this for a living. I don't. So you're gonna have to give us an explanation as to how that works. Go ahead. Right.
Yeah.
It shows the difference of scenarios. We are 50-50 capture, 70-30, 85-15, and 100% zero. So perhaps you give us a.
Yes, hi, Jeremy McKelly with AKT Fearless, here assisting Steve Brower with the Honey Creek development project. So we had sent across the different scenarios for your packet earlier in the week. And then we did an additional analysis just to show some more information on what you already received. So what I handed out, what I did was add tables 2 and tables 3 to that sheet. So table 1 was in your packet already. So table 1 showed the different scenarios from zero capture by the DDA, 100% developer, to 85% developer, 15% DDA, 70-30, and 50-50. You can see in table 1 that the 50-50 shows the most capture to the DDA during the life of the plan. However, it does extend the payback period from 8 to 9 years. And what that does is add additional interest capture for repaying eligible activities and additionally adds another year of BRA administration capture. So what I did was add table 2 to show you what the total local capture would be for each scenario after developer and BRA are repaid. So if you look to table 2, I'll just run you through that real quick. So at the top, scenario 1, 50-50, you have final year capture of 9 years. With each one of these scenarios, there is remaining tax increment capture available to return to the taxing jurisdiction. So BRA capture and developer capture doesn't capture the full amount in each one of those scenarios. So If you move over to the next column, it shows what the remaining amount of capture is for each one of the scenarios. So in year 8, for 50-50, there was no capture because it goes to year 9. And if you scroll down to 8, scenario 2 through 4, you see the additional capture. And then the next column, grouping of columns, you move over, that is full capture because the BRA and developer has been repaid completely. So you'll see in year 9 for the 50-50, 0, because we had remaining capture in the previous column. And you see year 10 for the scenario 1, but scenarios 2 through 4 get full capture in years 9 and 10. So if you continue across the table, you'll see the total capture years 8 through 10. That includes remaining capture and full capture after reimbursement. You can see the totals there. Working from the bottom up, you can see scenario 4 shows the most total local tax increment capture with 100%, 0%, 100% captured by the DDA. If you move up from 3 to 1, you can see that you decrease the amount of total capture. So are there any questions on table 2 so far? Okay, so if you move down to table 3, what I did was pull the total DDA capture during the plan period, which is from table 1. Added that to the total from table 2, the remaining capture after reimbursement is done, years 8 through 10. And you can see the total capture years 1 through 10 during reimbursement and after reimbursement. And again, you can see from the bottom up, scenario 4 provides the most total capture, and then you step it down basically as you move to the scenarios. So developer, we had proposed doing an 85-15 split. I think that's kind of the sweet spot where you don't get into the year 9 capture. DDA accrues captured during the plan itself, and then you're roughly around a 2 million total capture between DDA and local jurisdictions through 10 years. And just note too, all these scenarios are estimates, and they do show roughly a 4-year build out of the project. Any questions?
Got questions?
When does the capture begin?
So the capture will begin when there's increment available. What we're modeling is increment will begin upon sale of the property. And then we do about a 25, 50, 75, 100% build out after that.
And the development, if it is approved by the township, how long will it take to build out?
That's what we're modeling about 4 years.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
that's, so the
Full build out. Yeah, I mean, that's
the full,
kind of conservative. It may be faster.
You'll be retired by then.
I wish.
Any other questions? Well, we need to make a decision which way we're going. I would, myself, I will speak first. I would prefer the 85-15 scenario.
I think 85-15 makes the most sense. I mean, this is a property that needs some redevelopment and needs. This is what this plan was created for. This is what this act was envisioned for from the state.
Jeffrey.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So a couple questions that don't necessarily go directly to you, but it runs with the property, right? And the capture gets split between the Brownfield Authority and the DDA. What happens if they make the DDA go away? I mean, there's talk of that.
Who's the?
township board,
Township.
some of the board members.
Then it would be fully captured.
Brownfield would step in and take all of it then. Okay,
At which point, depending on the amount of capture, it might accelerate the payoff of the brownfield.
Yep.
Alright,
and then what is the sunset date if it doesn't get extended to the DDA? Do you remember?
No question, we got 5 years. DDA has got 5 years life, it's not extended. So what happens after that?
Like I said, if the DDA is dissolved during this period, the full capture will go to the DRA.
Same rules apply as if it didn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, essentially,
Correct.
the DDA has first right, so if the DDA is not there, then the DRA would have first right.
Correct.
How, what would be the impact if we approve the 85-15 split or any split? And at some point, the plan for the site completely changes? How would that impact these tables or this arrangement?
Yeah, so the tables, the taxable value associated with this capture is based upon, obviously, a development plan we've discussed already. So if the project changes, the impact may be a plus or minus on the taxable value. Eligible activities wouldn't change. Brownfield plans, generally speaking, aren't really specific to a development per se, because the Brownfield Authority doesn't have any zoning control over projects, right? So the plan itself does exist for a total of 35 years per the state statute, 30 years of tax capture. Generally, the plans are written pretty, open in terms of if something changes with development, then in turn, it doesn't necessarily impact the plan, because the plans, this particular plan, right, was obviously from an approval standpoint would be DDA, Scio Township, ERA, and county. So if there were any changes to the plan or amended, which can occur, you'd still have to go through the process. So generally, these plans are, open to certain changes like that. Really, the amendment occurs if eligible activities exceed or increase beyond what's in the plan, or something major occurs where it's kind of specific to the eligible activity.
Just refresh me, is this predicated on the for sale residential product? Proposed development, or was it on the previous kind of?
No, this is residential, for sale residential.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
and a portion commercial.
yep. Well, I mean, I'm in favor of some split in the 85-15. To me, I don't have an aversion or an attraction to any one in particular. We could make arguments for all of them, but the 85-15 seems, it provides a bit of capture, provides a quicker payback for the developer. I would be in favor of that.
Is that a motion to approve 85-15? 5411 Jackson Road?
So moved.
Second?
I'm sorry, who said second?
I did.
Okay,
Support.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
read the motion so that I've got something more to write.
I would make a motion that we approve an 85-15 brownfield to DDA split for the redevelopment of 5411 Jackson Road.
You need those forms signed?
Well, Gus, there's also the interlocal agreement. If you can be authorized to work with your attorney to work with us to negotiate that.
Correct.
I would amend my motion to include authorization for Gus to work with our attorney and their counsel to figure out the, to final negotiations on that contract. The
For
interlocal
that?
I'll
agreement.
support that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you very much. When you want to get together with the sign all that? And you want signature now?
Yeah, I think we could probably send a draft out this week.
Go ahead. That's fine. Thanks.
Next one's old business.
Yeah. It's old business.
Yeah,
Oh, is it?
I know.
Oh.
Here, you wanna use this one, Jeff?
Yeah. Next one is, all business. On the, all business, we have the, make a decision on the meals that the township's asking. I'd like to recognize, the three, members of the board, Dave Reed, Kathy Noah, Kathleen. Brian, thank you, welcome. So at this point, I think we needed to start discussion on that, where we stand. I think, Linda has a couple words before we go there. And I believe she should start with that.
Thank you, Gus. I attended the Board of Trustees meeting with Gus and Attorney Sweeney on Tuesday night last week, and I wanted to kind of make a report because I think it's important that we understand the read of the room so that we understand perhaps, in my opinion, some of the reasons for why we're being asked what we're being asked. It would appear that there's sort of three things going on at the board level right now. Apparently, there is some very serious concern about funding for the 2026 budget items, given that there's a number of grants that have been canceled or are threatened right now. And they are asking for the DDA to do some give backs on parks, transportation, millages, in addition to this fire millage. So DDA 2024 actual millage capture that Ryan gave me shows that there's sort of two different pools.
Excuse me, Linda, could you move that back so,
So you can see the screen.
well, and then anybody on Zoom can see it as well.
If you, so just.
I don't know.
Look behind you, so
This,
Yeah, see how it's, yeah, there you go, give it like a, there you
I
go.
wanted the board to be able to see it.
Okay, sorry, well.
Can't have it both ways. Well, I will turn it after I'm done presenting so
Yeah.
that people on.
Okay. thank
So
you.
there's two different pools. We've discussed the 50% capture and what it means, but I thought it was useful to break it down this way because it makes it much more real and it's actual numbers. So there is the DDA captured 13.8 mils from, this is the 2024, which is the county operating, Ann Arbor Library, Dexter Library, Washington County CC operating, and PW, I'm not sure what. County ledger tax. So our capture in the 2024 year was $1,814,000 roughly. The township portion is 5.097 mils. The millage is specific, or the capture is specific to the township that the DDA is taking. And so it's $337,000, 5 mils, total of 18 mils for the year. What the township seems to be asking is if the DDA would consider not capturing these millages as a part of their overall discussion, because they would like to take the transportation, the park, and now the fire millage, which is an additional 2.7 mils starting in 2026. And they would like to spend those funds with with board's understanding instead of having the DDA pull 50% of them. So the numbers, if you look at what we actually did for our budget this year, just in bigger picture, the total capture for 2024 was $2,151,000. The total amount that we dispersed as a DDA in 2024 was $1,579,000. Our 2025 budget proposed to disperse is $1,360,000. This is on the second page of the handout. And this was the breakout of our budget that's now been approved by the board. So I find it interesting because $1,579,000 leaves us, we haven't dispersed everything that we get with the 2.1. But if you come and you compare the conservation, the transportation and the parks, we're dispersing out almost equal to what we're bringing in. We're in our budget of 2026, we're spending that funding very similarly to what we brought in. I don't know that there's a big difference between if the township makes those allocations or if the DDA does. That's a statement on my own personal opinion. That's not a DDA secretary. So, as I said, there's three pieces to what sort of seems to be going on. And I think it's important for the read of the room, the ask that we were given at the previous meeting in this captured assessed value sharing agreement between Scio and the DDA was that we, the DDA, would relinquish the township millages that we collect. Really, the target is the 2.7 mil fire call, but they're also asking for the transportation and the parks.
For 1 year? Is there timing on this?
No, I think
Forever
we
and ever?
would now be giving up the right to, in 2024, that $337,000 of capture. Moving forward. I'm not sure.
That's not the only capture of 337
Well, it would now include the fire hall, 2.7 mils.
and 2.7 mils. What's the 2.7 mils total? 490? Is that 492 or something?
Four
428.
428, it's an estimate still, because I have
Correct.
to look at the value.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, it hasn't occurred. So, just to frame the argument, I guess. So, Scio Township would rather have the board allocating those funds than the DDA. 1, 2, the fire millage. The discussion that was presented was that a mistake had been made. And that the township would like to have the fire millage instead of the DDA. And I would prefer to frame that as several mistakes were made on a number of different levels. It's not anyone's fault, but where we stand today is that we have a millage that was passed by the voters. We have a fire hall plan. We need to get bonding in order to build that fire hall. And because of the DDA capture, the Scio Township will not be able to get bonding for that build. There's not enough income behind the bond with 50% capture on the 2.7 lands. I think that most of us living in the township understand that fire response is a very important part of living in the township. You want to be safe. I don't know that all of the fire calls are going to be within the DDA district. The new fire hall is not in the DDA district.
Mhm.
So I bounced a few things around and said, what would happen if the DDA lent the township money to build the fire hall? But I don't believe we can because it's not within the Jackson Road overlay district. The new location on Wagner Road is too far south. What would happen if the DDA somehow tried to partner in the bonding process? Same problem. I believe that in our charter, it's not a part of our overlay district, so I don't believe that we can.
Ryan? I don't think you could bond if you're not in the district, correct?
Well, how does the DDA justify expenses for the sheriff?
What we decided during our budget amendments just recently was that, how do we figure that out?
Because they provide sufficient services to the.
Within the DDA.
That was the basis of it, and I think you look at the number of service calls for the sheriff's department and the DDA district, I think that the total sheriff's contract is 1.6 million, and we gave them $100,000. I think it's a reasonable argument that with commercial businesses and high traffic volumes that 8 or 9% of the calls are in the DDA district, probably more than that.
Right.
I'm just wondering about using that same
Same argument.
argument for the fire hall. If they're going to service the DDA district, even though it's not built in the DDA district.
Well, one thing, this, the proposal to the voters was supposed to be a special assessment district. The DDA never would have had that money.
Right.
So it's not going to miss out on that money. And we need to fund the fire, you know, for the bonding and whatnot. Yes, the second station is not within the DDA, however, our first one is. And so there was different proposals, and I don't remember them all, but one of them was to scrap the whole plan for the, I think that's extreme, we don't need to do that. We could even just, you know, cut back on some of those plans, that's one thing. The other was,
Dissolve the DDA and so they would take the money.
if that was another, but there was a third one as well.
Was to try and negotiate through this.
Well, yeah,
document
but,
that was made by Attorney Fink.
yes, but if we came about this as if we didn't have that money, how is that going to hurt the DDA?
So
What
I guess
was
what
the
I was
voter's
saying
intent?
is,
And I look at it this way, what was the voter's intent? And
Well,
how
the
is,
voters
how is
intent-
eliminating the DDA going to help
Oh,
the citizens of the township, which, you know, I think.
well, yeah, I don't agree with that either.
Okay, so I understand that and I understand that the DDA has a legal right to the recapture. But I also understand that basically it appears that the township is in a rock and a hard spot on this one. Because I think that, again, the fire hall is needed. And I think there isn't enough money for the fire hall to proceed. So in the interest of all of us trying to work towards the betterment of the township, what other ways can we come up with so that the township has the money they need in order to bond this fire hall?
I know everybody has their own opinion, but like you said, the decision was made and the fire hall needs to be on Wagner Road. Whether it's on the district or not, it's irrelevant at this point. The township, put out a mail, it was whatever you wanna call it. You know, that didn't spell it out right. I think that, I would go along with Linda that it happened. We would never have received that money if it was written right, correctly, however you wanna say it. So, and the commitment was made for the fire hall. It's not like it's, you know, it can go away or they got an option, they can go away. So I think for all practical purposes, we should all work together and make it happen. It needs to happen. Because it's gonna happen, one way or another, so it needs to happen.
Yeah, the other option, I just remembered after, thank you, was for the township to go back to the voters and ask for more money.
Well, that's pretty costly,
Yeah, and that's just not gonna happen.
No, you don't wanna go back to voters, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, the
And the county keeps putting more,
the questions that I have is like we hear on the last BOT was the meeting that also, there's an item on the agenda that, if I remember right, that to dissolve the DDA, correct? Okay, so, we're trying to make a decision whether we exist or not. I mean, whether we spend money or not for anything at this point, if we don't know whether we exist or not. How's that gonna happen? So perhaps it should have been the other way around. It should have been a vote whether we exist. And we still will make the same decision, if not even a better decision. Because we don't have anything to gain. We all work for the same thing, for the betterment of the township. We all want this to happen. So I don't know legally where that all stands as far as that goes, you know, if perhaps one of you three can tell us or the attorney, so we approve this. And next week, is the next week the meeting or the week after?
August 12th.
August 12th, so 2 weeks. We're up, close enough. They abolished the DDA. What happens then? you know, we have contracts out there. We have, duties out there. We have, the maintenance out there. How does that, and I'm trying to figure out, how does that help anybody? You know, we're gonna leave a ton of money at the table, and then we're gonna also put an additional burden on the township for $250,000 to maintain what we maintain right now. Needless to say, the streets, et cetera. So we're gonna give, township is gonna lose $1.5 million, right, at that point, a year, roughly, so. I'm personally, I'm puzzled, why that question is up, why is that question or the line item on the agenda to be voted, dissolve the DDA, so.
And I say one more thing, but I think maybe we should let the board members.
Correct,
speak as well.
correct, they will.
So there, as I said, there was sort of three items that were brought up as this board went through things. And what was very clear was that the Board of Trustees wants to understand how the DDA is working with the fund balance that we have. There seems to be a strong feeling that we, the DDA, have a fund balance over and above what we owe for the bond. That, and then there's a number of reasons why it's accumulated to the number it is, because we had a number of projects planned that we found out were not viable. So they, I believe, would like to meet with the DDA and have input on how that fund balance could be used within the township. For example, we have some issues coming up with the sewer and water needs of the township. So I think that reassurances could be made perhaps that we would be willing to have discussions with the township about what their master plan idea is, what our master plan idea is, and perhaps that would alleviate some of the concern about the fund balance, which seems to be a big push towards the zoning.
Yeah, and I think this goes back to the August 19th meeting of the the corridor plans that for us to attend that and also, discuss with the planning commission and the board the plans along Jackson Road, which affect the DDA. I think that we could, the three entities could work together because we're gonna need REUs. We're gonna have to expand, especially if the plan is to have higher density along Jackson Road or the water and sewer district. And we have, I think around 1,300 REUs that are, Ryan, does that ring a bell, that number?
The number is higher, the number will be firmed up more next year after there's a metering study.
Yeah, and we have more developments coming in.
So right now, there's two things. Number one, we have to, I think, come to agreement on what we're doing with the fire money that was.
Yep.
The proposal was written incorrectly.
By August 9th.
It is what it is, right? It would have never been our money in the first place had it been written correctly. Right? I don't know why the mistake happened. I hope it doesn't happen again, because it's caused a lot of probably unnecessary conversations. So that's one thing. Can we have that discussion and
Well, let me,
decide what we're gonna do and move on? And then it's I would hope it's the short-term grant problems from the government that are causing an impact on our township that discussion with the DDA can support, right? I think, again, we're all here for the same reason, to support our community.
I will bring that up for discussing the millage after we finish this and the folks who
Yeah.
see it from the board present their case, but you're talking about the amount of money that seems to be it's 5.9 million, is that what it is?
Yeah, roughly
And how much of that is for the bonds?
2.3.
2.3, so that's leaves 3.7. Okay, and from the 3.7, how much of it goes back to different entities such as the county, schools and libraries?
If the DDA is dissolved.
It is all, how much of that goes back?
I would defer to legal counsel on, it would all go back to pro rata to where it came from, was my
Okay.
understanding, but I'm not the lawyer.
So what's left? If it is, what's left, $1 million bucks?
The township receive it.
The township may get a small pro rata portion of this based off of the original millage.
So basically nothing
Yes.
out of 6 million.
Most of it goes to the county
Most of it goes to the county.
or WISD or WCC.
So,
It's government, it doesn't have to make sense.
So
I hate to mix these issues because they're all kind of hot topics, and we've got one that has to be decided today.
I understand that will be decided today, but we're looking at the whole picture, you know. We're trying to decide something that might not exist tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm concerned with the lack of support from the trustees for DDA. And the idea that, oh gee, you're out of here, kind of a concept. And if that's gonna come up every year when they don't get their way over something, or, you know, in other words, DDA will basically be totally ineffective as far as their projects, because the trustees will be dictating what those should be, or see them.
In
that-
fairness,
that-
it's not all of the trustees.
Well, okay,
Right.
So,
so I think it's very short-sighted of the trustees to have that as a consideration when you look at what the long-term losses and how negative, the negative impact on your constituents and the residents in Scio Township. And that concerns me a lot, having been here through 6 administrations, to see it go sideways like this with this board. And I'd like to get something in return as far as maybe the guarantee that they would help, that we would extend the DDA and that would give them a longer term access to DDA. The funds generated by DDA, because as the DDA district grows, those funds will get bigger. And there'll be more, but there'll be more.
not extend the DDA, at least not to have to face this again for the next 5 years until the life of this one ends.
I have a question, Ryan, or any of you, the last bond to be paid off is 2031, correct?
Right.
And we have another bond that can be paid off right away without penalty. I believe the second with the 2031 cannot be paid off
I've
with.
never seen the original bond documents. I have gone looking for them, but I believe Plant Moran or someone has them.
Well, it would be, our bond council. We had
I
a
certainly
meeting.
could ask bond council if they have a copy, and if there's a prepayment penalty, I can ask that question.
We refied some bonds, and basically when rates were low, they were refied at a lower rate. It had been leaving at a lower rate.
In any case, there's gonna be a rate maintenance or something.
And why would you, and why, you know, if they're a low rate, why would you move on from those? Just let them term out, yeah.
And I recommend we talk to the rest of the representatives from the board that are here, since we've raised some really good questions, but I think us just talking about it between ourselves doesn't answer all of them.
Correct.
I'd like to-
Linda, you have anything
I'd love to hear the
I'm
benefits.
finished. I want to make sure that we don't get lost in the trees on this.
You're
one.
not.
What was the third? You said there was 3.
Well, the third was dissolving the DDA, which. we've already
Oh, the
discussed.
fund balance and then
Yeah.
the third was, right, okay.
I'd love to hear the benefits beyond the immediate needs, what the benefits are beyond that.
It was an interesting discussion
On this little side.
at the board.
So I'd also like to hear a little bit of color. You started off saying that the backdrop to all of this is 2026 budget pressure with the township. Is that a result of their deficit budget that they approved? Is it just that we're the piggy bank? And where are the budget pressures coming from the township?
I can share one of them, certain, two of them. One, to your statement, the general fund has some ongoing pressure.
What does that mean, Ryan?
As far as right now, this year, it was budgeted at a deficit specifically because of the capital improvement project for the HVAC system for this building. That system is at the end of its life. Without that expense, the general fund would have had a positive fund balance and we wouldn't have expended everything. I'm looking at specifically for next year. It's been floated around between some of the board members, but it's gonna be coming to a board meeting soon. Transportation is going to be a significant cost issue. State funding and also federal funding, which feeds into state funding, has been cut for both AATA and WAVE. We're showing $172,957 increase year over year.
Say that number again, please.
$172,957 increase year over year. Additional that they're requesting from us.
Thank you.
The biggest part of that is from Wave.
So that's our subsidy to waive. What you're saying.
There was a 9% increase on AAATA, which seemed high, but it was at least more in the realm of understandable. Waves costs are increasing almost by double. So the board is going to have to do something. Is it continue to support the same level? Is it do something different with service? Is it going back to voters? Because right now we project in 2030 fiscal year at the township that fund's gonna be in a fund deficit. So we've used all,
One specifically for traffic.
Transit, yeah.
Transportation. Thank you.
This is one of mine.
Okay.
so that's a concern. I will say that we're seeing ongoing pressures from the federal government in open space that doesn't necessarily, that's not the general fund, that's a dedicated millage fund. We were gonna have a $22 million, be part of a $22 million grant. That grant program's been put on hold. Who knows, if it'll ever come back. The general fund is gonna continue to get pressure from the sheriff's office. I believe we have about another 18 months left on the sheriff's contract. The sheriff has already said to what the supervisors brought to us, they want to include costs for training that are not currently in the
Well,
contract.
That's still,
These costs are just going to keep going up,
So
unfortunately.
the cost of business has gone up for the township. And there's a large CapEx project for HVAC that,
One time.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, I'd like to recognize who would like to go first. Kathy?
What is your question? What is your question? We'll go from there.
I don't have any particular question. I hear everything I want to hear, and I don't know if you folks have anything to tell us. The question, actually, I do have a question. Why is that an item to abolish DDA? What is the reason? How?
And the benefit.
The benefit of that question, yeah.
I'm gonna let these guys go first. I have comments that I can express on that one, though.
Sure.
I missed the last board meeting. I was on vacation. So I came today to hear exactly what went on at the DDA and get a better understanding of the issues and the facts. There was some confusion with your last DDA meeting, by the way. The audio was terrible. I was watching it. And the issues are confusing unless you've been in it. So I'm gonna let these guys talk and then I'm gonna respond to some of your comments. So we gave you handouts at the last meeting, one of which was written by the township's interim finance director, which talks about your cash position. In the current situation, you're at something like 5.9 fund balance in exceedance of your plan. Based on your plans, if we end this capture, if we go to the fiscal year end 2037, you will be at a $14.4 million fund balance in excess of what you need. So that's one consideration.
That's, if I may,
Go ahead.
that's without the four captures that we're currently asking for. That's without the four captures. We'll be at 4.4. By the way, that township, we're not asking for the township operating.
Okay, those four top ones,
No, not the township operating.
okay,
We're not asking for that. We're asking for conservation, transportation, park, and firehouse.
okay,
And fire.
And fire, which we don't currently capture.
okay.
So, but without transportation, conservation, parks and fire, which roughly is $700,000, roughly. Your balance will increase over the next few years to be 14, without any increased expenses. If you stay with your normal budget,
Right.
you'll have 14.4?
14.4.
What year?
This builds from, current year of 5.9 million to forecasted through 2030. It's, 8.0 through 2037. It's 14.4.
2037 would be the end of 12-year fire village. That's why he took it that far.
Correct, but.
And by the way, he also says that the last bond payment is 2029.
Correct, but. We might not exist past 31.
And he's just projecting.
Correct, okay,
So the concern is that we're not spending enough money fast enough. Is
correct.
that what I'm hearing? Okay.
No, I don't, I would, no, I
Well,
would
we're not
not.
spending, we're not spending on the right spot.
Let them answer. Is that the concern?
Sorry?
Is that the concern that we're not deploying enough capital?
No, that's not the concern, but we have asked for, what your plans are, for example, for the next 5 years. The last DDA plan is dated 2006.
And that plan
It was 19 years ago.
or one of our plans to update. At least from what I understood.
Giving the DDA, put that in their budget for the large, what was it, the $300,000 to update that plan to go to the consultants to get, right?
Correct.
And so that was one of the projects that the DDA was doing.
Answer your question, I haven't seen a 5-year plan. I don't believe we have talked about a 5-year plan. Okay, so we don't have a 5-year plan, we just did the budget for 1 year. Now, obviously, if we work on a 5-year plan, we can come up with one. We can come up with a plan, there's no question about it, because that's our mission. So we can have a meeting, whether it's within next month or 2 months or 3, but we can have a meeting and put a 5-year plan together. Because that would be until the end of the existing plan for the DDA, so we can do that, we can definitely provide you with that, we don't have one right now, to answer your question.
How do we fit the trustees' 5-year plan?
We have a 6-year capital improvement plan.
It's on the website.
Yeah, well, we had a meeting and talked about that, right? We looked at,
We had it for our capital improvement.
no, I thought DDA had a meeting and talked about the, well, I guess that was a shorter term plan than that, but yeah.
We worked on a 2-year plan because that's what you thought, how long the DDA would be in place. Based on the conversations of what you've heard from different trustees and dissolving. So that's what you did. I encourage longer because I think that,
There's benefit.
well, yeah, there's a benefit and to only have a 2-year plan because the trustees have rumors or have been talking about this is kind of like, well, defeatist. Sorry. Anyway.
Yes,
You
Yeah.
have no capital improvement plan. You have a budget.
correct, we have a budget for 1 year.
That is not the same
Appropriations.
as a capital improvement plan. A capital improvement plan is what tangible assets are you going to pursue? They're assets, capital. You do not have any capital improvement.
We don't,
Right, so.
we don't, but we can definitely come up with one.
Well, and the idea that we haven't thought about long-term capital planning is just ludicrous. We've talked about huge plans, some of which were not approved. We talked about pedestrian pathway over the highway. We talked about extension of Jackson Road to Parker Road. We've talked about a water study so that we can see what sort of capital assets need to be deployed there. When we put together our initial budget at the end of 2024, we were cut off from being able to have counsel, we were cut off from being able to have consultants, and that was added back in. But to suggest that because we don't have the capital plan that you're talking about means that it hasn't been discussed is is absolutely incorrect.
That's one aspect, Jeff. You have not had a DDA master plan since the year 2006.
So what I would say is if those are the requirements for us to exist, then say so. But we've been operating like this for a long time. We've been deploying a lot of capital to the benefit of the DDA. And we'll continue to do so.
It's statutory that you have a master. Plan.
So
You haven't had one since.
I spoke with,
I just wanna say one thing.
Go ahead.
That 2006 master plan was a complete overhaul amendment of the TIF capture. I mean, it went to consultants, they redeveloped the entire TIF strategy, and that was set to expire in 2031, which is when a new master plan would have to be created. Or if you're gonna amend the entire TIF plan again, you could do it at any time and pick the duration. So
what you're saying is that the master plan that's in place is perfectly valid, perfectly legitimate, and is really setting forth the terms of the TIF, not specific year to year or 5 year to 5 year improvements.
there are some benchmarks, but you know, they continue to be the same roads, water.
If I may, Brian, we've kind of been diverted from the prime subject of what we thought we were coming here. We thought we were coming here to hear your discussion about our request for the return or the cessation of the capture of those four captures, the four millages. That's what we were here for, to gather your information so we can take it back to the board. We don't make the decision. The board makes the decision. We're here to listen to what you have to say. We have some hard deadlines. I'm sorry.
No, I was here at the first meeting when the two of you came, presented the plan. We had some questions, we were gonna talk about it. Then I went to the trustees meeting last week, and I heard comments from the two of you that you came here, you were rushed out without enough time to present your case. Yep, you said you had things to give us, you had more to show us, and then you asked to come back here again. That was what happened at the last meeting. And then Gus asks you today, what would you like to present? And you say, oh, why don't you just give me a question? Because
I'm
last
sorry,
time when I
I'm
was
sorry,
here.
sir. We
No.
presented 3 documents.
Do you remember the last meeting at the trustees? I see you shaking your head, yes. That they said they were rushed out with 17 minutes and not enough time to give a presentation. Yeah,
Gave you all the information in 3 documents.
we didn't complain.
We asked them to be put on this agenda. That didn't happen.
You didn't.
So you have the presentation materials.
I-
What else do you want besides the presentation?
You're missing the point.
Right.
We didn't ask you to come back. You wanted to come back because you felt you were short last time.
We asked you to make a decision by a time frame.
The issue is we have a couple of deadlines coming up.
I understand that.
Correct.
From last time.
One of which is August 12th.
Correct.
We passed it out. You were here.
Can I see it, please?
No,
So you're not gonna show me the presentation that you're trying to,
you received it, handed to you.
may I see it,
And we
please?
never got the opportunity to get it. I want it back, please.
Yes.
We never got the opportunity to have it.
You just contradicted yourself. You just said you did have enough time, now you're saying you didn't have enough time.
Well, guys.
I just didn't like the way it was, I didn't like the way it was
This is a
portrayed.
grade school here. Let's
Yeah,
talk
it
about the
does.
issue. The issue is time.
Well,
August 12th, so we have to be,
You
August
did come
12th.
as a bully. I mean,
I'm sorry?
basically, you all did come and start by approaching DDA as a bully. Do what we say or go.
That's not-
That's what it says.
We came here with the 4 options that we thought. Now, you can.
Your 4 options or we're gonna be dissolved. That's your 4 options.
One of
That's a
which
bully.
is to sign it, to come to an agreement and sign it, whether it's all 4 millages or whatever it is. That's the primary, that's our goal, is to get an assignment of that.
Okay.
Second, which we think is really impractical, is to go to the voters. That's almost a definite no.
Correct.
So that's a lot of
I
ways.
think we all
a lot
agree
of
upon
wasted
that.
money.
We all agree.
Third one is to cancel the firehouse. because we do not have enough money.
And I
Take,
think we already
get
said.
a bond in September, October, whenever it is, Ryan, I forget what it is, we're $500,000 short. Fourth one is to, well, if you're not gonna give us the money back, if we either cancel the firehouse or we cancel the DDA, because we cannot build.
Yeah,
something.
but yeah, let's not, it's not grade school. We do have some really important issues that we've
Correct.
got to resolve here, and I do not want to spend our time bickering because this is not productive. Ladies
No,
and
I'm
gentlemen,
just saying, you know,
yes, those were the four that you brought.
options, we're open.
Well, but I think the issue is that there was a request. It didn't go unfold like everybody expected or whatever. And then it was on the in the board packet. And the last option was to dissolve the DDA. So then we go into a panic over that. And really, and now you're saying today, you're asking for the 4 millage capture returns, which is fine. So if we're focused on one thing, but not the others, but you have to understand that the DDA is focused on all of it. Because that it was thrown, onto the board packet. So anyways, if this is just about the 4 requests, then let's just focus on
Correct.
that
That
at
is
this
it.
point.
Is that correct? Dave says the 1 request, the 4 requests, or the 4, correct? That's what you say. Either 1 or all.
Well, the request is
So,
4.
the first-
Four.
You
Well, but
but
was,
okay.
the request at the last DDA meeting, I misunderstood it, maybe I did, was it was stated that there was a mistake in what the voters voted for.
Correct.
And you wanted to not have the DDA capture that amount of money. My reply at that time was, it's pretty dicey to say that the voters voted for something that they didn't mean to vote for. I still think that. It was written the way it was written, they voted for it, and to say we wrote it wrong, they meant to vote for what we intended to write, is pretty dicey. Nonetheless, it was about one issue. It was about the fire capture, if I remember right. Now it's additional. Am I remembering that wrong?
No,
There's a little bit of a difference in what you're recalling. Specifically, the error wasn't in voters' intentions. It was, I read out the millage language, as you probably recall. There's nothing in the millage language that spoke any way about the DDA.
Understood.
What he's saying, I believe it says, the argument was for 492,000, how did it got to 625? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
How did it got to 625? So there was never,
Got
the
it,
300 and some thousand were never an argument.
got it.
So the 492,000 is what the argument was.
Okay.
Okay.
They only talked.
The voters
Yes.
voted for
Correct.
fire, extended fire.
Which is $500,000, correct?
Doesn't
So it's
matter
my
if it's
$500,000,
sad
give or take $500,000. So,
Got it.
Well, it
So-
doesn't matter. right?
It
I mean,
does
as a-
But as a
whether-
voter-
Whether or not we, we very well may ultimately decide to move that money over because we determine that that's the best use of those funds, but I think it's just important that we're all grounded in, like, not going down the road of deciding that the outcome of an election is not in fact what those voters intended, right? Two things can be true at once, right? Like, we can all decide that the best use of those dollars that we will now capture due to the outcomes of the election are for I'm not arguing on the merits of the fire station and even of the merits of the overall use of the funds. It's just that one point about, the voters voted, the outcome of that election was the allocation of that millage, including some capture by the DDA. I don't think we want to start doing the parsing of voter decision-making around, if it was written if the assessment was written in such a way that the DDA captures a piece of that is in fact what the voters voted for.
Exactly.
We have no way of knowing if they didn't quite mean that,
But
right?
the ballot did not say anything about the DDA capture.
It didn't make it not present.
Oh, correct.
Right.
But somebody did wrong math.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
That was the case. The math doesn't work.
So
And as I,
Oh,
go ahead, JM.
how does how does this affects their bonding allegedly, totally affects the bonding. How does the fact that Scio Township is in a bonding crisis affect DDA's bonding ability? And I think it's directly connected.
I would generally agree without being bond counsel. I wouldn't say we would I would not at the board table vote for putting ourselves into this situation where we bond or start bonding for something that we don't have the ability to complete the process on.
So then as DDA, you know, I'm concerned the trustees would complain, well, gee, you didn't do a project. Well, we didn't do a project, couldn't get bonded. So I'm gonna take a break. Kathleen was.
I want to say a few things.
So she gets.
General comments to several of you. I think there hasn't been good communication from the DDA to the township board. We don't know what you're doing. We aren't getting regular reports. And I know we have 2 board members on the DDA. We didn't put it on your shoulders. But we need to hear more about what you're doing and what you're talking about. So we will.
How?
Written reports are submitted in our board packets for all the meetings. So somebody can do a paragraph, 2 paragraphs. I do a Gelman report periodically.
I said, that's great feedback. I think that's,
Okay,
I think that's.
you have the minutes, that's all we talk about, we don't talk about anything else.
we don't always have your minutes in our packet.
Right. So how do we get them there?
Well, just do a brief summary, a concise summary. We don't need to see all of your minutes, just a summary.
Saying how, who do we send-
LPC does a summary.
He's asking, who do we send them to? How do we get them in there?
Jessica, send them to Jessica. She'll put them in the packet. So another issue is indeed looking on all of this from a distance, there is no capital improvement plan. And that is significant. Now, I know one of your members commented that, oh yeah, we have a capital improvement plan, but no, you don't. Maybe you had budget appropriations, but you did not have a capital improvement plan. And that's significant. But I acknowledge it takes time, but you need to work on it. There is concern expressed by Jay that the board is trying to dictate to the DDA. I do not think that's the case. I think that individual members are scrambling to try to understand what you're doing and why. And if we knew that, it would help. I will say that the township as a whole is faced with decreased federal and state revenue in multiple areas. It's not just 1 or 2 areas. It's throughout the system. And that is putting a lot of pressure on our general fund. And that puts pressure on the elected officials who are trying to do a good job. We're trying to do with decreasing resources. So going back to the DDA, somebody asks why we might be considering abolishing the DDA. A question I have is, we've heard presentations from people on the DDA, and Linda, yours were excellent. I missed the last board meeting, but I watched it. So I saw everything that happened. Some people believe that perhaps the DDA has served its purpose. That indeed, if you look at the original document that was created when the DDA started, it was to foster improved water and roads, the Jackson Road area. And those 2 things have been largely done. So different people have different opinions on that, but it's something to consider. We're not making arbitrary comments to you to be a bully. We're just looking at the total situation and asking questions.
I don't think it was that focused, though. I mean, it basically dealt with blight. It was a lot more broad language.
What was that focus?
Sewer and roads.
The
and
original
water.
wording in the document?
Is that what they call
It,
That was.
I read it.
that
It
was-
specifically mentions water and the Jackson Road, improving the roads, improving Jackson Road.
With the broad overview. It's more in line with.
It was broad.
To establish, no, to eliminate, establish and avoid blight and deterioration. And that's broad enough to take us back to certain things that will need to be maintained, and particularly as the trustees and committees keep adding more infrastructure to the township. I have no idea how y'all have planned to maintain it, but that's your job.
There was economic necessity because of the conditions when the DDA was created. And now we don't have that same lack of economic development in Scio Township. There's a tremendous amount of development going on right now. And constant applications.
I will say that this is the first time this has been presented this way. And so, like, it was presented previously as, give us the money or you're gone, right? I mean, that was very articulate. It was worth hearing. I think these items are out now as far as.
Correct.
I might need to address, but I just want to say one more thing, Gus.
Yeah.
This was never about the DDA keeping the fire millage money or those, I don't know. You said you watched the last meeting of the township. The issue was we were presented with this agreement. They said the voters voted on something that we didn't intend to be voted on. It was incorrect. Whoever made the mistake, you're gonna receive money that was supposed to go to a firehouse. This agreement, the DDA has limits on what it can do with the money, right? You understand that. That's why we're talking about where's the firehouse gonna be built? Who's it gonna serve? And so before we can just take the money that did get elected to go here, whether improperly or what, we have to figure out whether it's something that the DDA can spend it on or allocate it to. And so while this agreement, this agreement was presented, the statute that it cites requires public comment. And so we can't just sign over and give it. There has to be public comment because it's an amendment of the current plan. And so I understand there's a time crunch. What is it, August 9th? When you're going for the bond? And so what's that?
Somewhere around there. And I do have a question for you after you're finished.
And so the problem is, how do we get the funds allocated to the firehouse without violating the DDA's rules and ordinances and obligations underneath the statute? So when we said we'll think about it at the last meeting and talk, but that was kind of the concept. We've got to figure out how to do this legally. And that's
How do we do that legally? So here's a question.
well, so that's why I don't know if public comment's the only way, but that's not fast enough.
Public hearing.
Public hearing, yeah.
Thing is, we have public comment at all of our
Oh,
DDA
sure.
meetings, and they have public comment at all of those board meetings. And I agree with I just have to say, I agree with Kathleen that we should sit down together and kind of get in place what some of our goals should be.
Sure.
Aligning with your goals, and I think that would be important, because to give up the funds that DDA derives through the tax incremental revenues, not to mention those future funds that will be brought in by the amount of development that's taking place. And, you know, the lack of the idea that we're gonna be running out of sewer and things like that, there may be some long-term things. Which is one of the reasons that DDA keeps a substantial amount of money around, is that to do that study is not inexpensive. And we don't have to borrow to do that study. So I can see where the benefit, there is benefit, personally, myself, whether it's legal or not, that there's benefit to the DDA district for more fire protection. And it also provides EMS. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue that.
Ryan, before you, so we need, if we can vote on this, we're gonna vote on the mills, can we?
That's why I had suggested, we talked about the sheriff and how the sheriff is able to provide services here.
Use the same analogy.
The same analogy, plus if we have the fire, one of the firehouses is in our district, that,
Perhaps we can give
the
it,
proposal that was
Right.
voted on included upkeep and maintenance of existing facilities. It included emergency and fire services from existing facilities. So there, it wasn't just, we need a firehouse. It was, we need A, B, C, D, and E. And all of those items, except for just the building, the firehouse affected this district.
right,
I was gonna actually make a recommendation based off of that. That this millage, its first year's estimated capture, is trying to find the language from the ballot language, it's like $4.5 million in total. We're being asked for first year is what, 400 and
428.
428, thank you. So we can
Certainly.
use the same analogy and the same logic. The other thing was, I was gonna say, we could tackle the fire issue today. We can come back and tackle the rest of the issues that while they're urgent, they could wait till the September meeting and we could have one more discussion about this. And maybe come up with a similar discussion. The only question I had for you from a legal standpoint was it that agreement that was referencing, was it what, MCL 211,
214.4.
214, 5U or something?
214.4 is the one that requires the public hearing.
Okay.
Well, what they're asking for is to do the bonding, we have to commit
can we,
all year.
can I,
If we justify it.
can I move on and say that is, that we can continue with the rest of the stuff, the, whatever the mill was, 498,000, Dave, is that what it was? This year, can we move on to send that over to the township for for bonding of the fire department?
Our capture on this would be 428. They're saying we're short 498.
That number I don't know.
428, whatever we capture, can we have a,
I don't think it's more than what the
I heard David say 500,000 and then I heard.
I mean, you would have to go back to. Here's what I would recommend, and maybe the attorney will contradict me or advise differently. I would say to make a motion to allow the DDA attorney and the DDA chair to enter in and negotiate an agreement for the fire protection millage. For the return of the fire protection millage. Sorry, did I totally bungle that up?
The capture. Right. Shall negotiate.
why do we need an agreement? We can enter right now.
Yeah, we could do it. We could do it right now. The only thing is you'd have to redline this. If we're going to do it just off a voice vote, I don't think it's gonna be stable enough for the bonding council.
Or can we at least give directional what we plan to approve and then?
Yeah, I don't think meeting
Needs to
minutes
be
and a
cleaned
voice
up
vote, it's gonna be
on
sustainable for bonding
Can have
council.
a
We need
real
to Cyrus, I might be wrong.
And I think it's worth saying that when we're talking about the fire millage, that for the bonding company to be satisfied, it's the entire duration of the fire millage, right? Not just this year.
Correct, that's the, if we just give them the money this year, that's great. And it does help. I'm not saying it doesn't, it absolutely does help, but it does not solve the fundamental issue of the bonding council needs.
They're gonna want
The general government guarantee obligation of this millage in order to support the sale and the credit rating of the bonds. Otherwise, the underwriting rating
So how do we fix that?
we'd have to sign a long-term agreement, preferably the length of, at least the DDA, if not the length of, the bonds.
And that's 12 years.
How long is the millage for?
12 years.
12 years? Well, how can we fix that with being around 5?
Well,
Contingencies?
yeah, I mean, we
Clauses.
as long as we're in existence, we'll honor the agreement.
Yeah.
If something happens to us, I believe the trustees take over our contracts or sign them off to another entity.
up to 12 years.
Okay. No, after 5 years.
Yeah, but we honor that agreement up to 12 years.
Yes.
Instead of in perpetuity.
Yes. Could I make one comment?
Yes,
Linda, you referenced a water and sewer study. And before the DDA embarks on funding their own study, I suggest you talk with some of us at the township who are regularly in contact with the Ann Arbor Utilities Department. We meet once a month, and OHM is embarking on more definition right now of our REU issues. And it's a work in progress still, but we have a group, there's a subgroup that meets once a month, talks about these issues. So I'm on the committee.
I know you do. Here's an issue that we meet there personally. I might as well get a paycheck myself and start working for somebody, because if I'm joined, we're already up to one meeting a month, that some months we have 2 or 3 meetings, and now we gotta join more. I think perhaps you should send us a report, and then we can work it into our report of what we're doing. Once that we give you like a headline, we like to work on the sewer. You say, here's a report that we work on the sewer, and we can do that. Because I'm pretty sure trying to bring these folks back here three times a month is not gonna work out. I mean, I like to, some of us can, some of us can't. Personally, I can't, myself, so we can work together where we pass the reports and we, do that, so.
I have a suggestion. With other committees, I'm on the road advisory committee, and we, through volunteerism, we assign a person or persons to, connect with another, committee.
Correct.
And then yeah, and it does take time, but this is part of being in government.
Correct. With that said, I'd like to entertain a motion of sending the money back captured by the millage that was wrongly, or however, we'll word it back to the,
I'd just make it a little bit simpler to
Okay.
return the fire protection village to Scio Township.
is that a second of that?
They could, a friendly amendment, add capture into that motion.
Is return the right language, or should we just phrase it as like a transfer, because it's new capture, right?
Yes, and it's not.
That's not a return. It's very well.
They haven't collected it yet.
It's our,
Can we allocate our capture?
Allocate our capture.
yeah,
Do you have a opinion?
I'm just thinking through. You said we're going to need to work out an agreement, right? Something
Yes,
right?
I mean, you're.
And so I would preserve that language, because I think that what we're talking about is using the capture that comes through to the Scio Township DDA for the benefits that Scio Township DDA is receiving, but having the trustees spend it.
Like a purchase and service agreement, similar to that. Okay, that will work.
We're gonna move that Ryan Sweeney, our attorney, draft an agreement. What are we doing?
How about,
Or
we say that-
revise the existing one,
Yeah.
whichever.
Well,
I
how
can
about
have
we
it
say what you
completely
said initially, that we're
You're gonna
going
have to
to
work with
allocate
Ryan.
our capture.
Oh, yeah, I see, Ryan.
An agreement that
yes,
the council
If this
better.
happens,
is able to draft with
But if it does.
township.
It's okay.
And to Alex's point, I think it's really important that we're not saying that there was a mistake made in the election. I just think that's really bad ground to tell. The voters voted for what the voters voted. They didn't make a mistake.
Move on.
then we're using our authority
Yes.
to allocate
And
the
this
money
is,
that we're gonna capture off of what the voters voted for.
Yes.
this is in addition to the 350 that we've already allocated to fire.
Well, the
Yeah.
350 is one time. It's like in this year's budget,
Right.
right? So
right,
it is
Separate thing.
important to say, there's a lot of, it's just a little commentary, and then I need to go, so we need to go, but my hope for the DDA is that we're able to do special things. The Jackson Road corridor is a special thing. It made this township what it is right now. And if it gets turned into a maintenance for expansion strips and wear and tear on sidewalks, that's great. That stuff needs to happen. That's not the special thing that the DDA is able to do. There's money in the fund that is a great starting point for doing something new and something special. Whether that's infrastructure, or it's an extension of the road, or it's a crossway over the highway, something that will directly benefit Scio Township, all of its residents, and it's a great tool for doing that. If the township doesn't want that tool, if they want to use that money for other things, that's their prerogative. Meaning the Board of Trustees, that's their prerogative. But I think the DDA is uniquely positioned to do special things, and all that we talk about here, that's what I want to do.
Right. Who said that?
Okay,
Well said.
so,
One more.
yeah,
Mr. Sweeney, is it going to be more time going to redline the reallocation document that was given to us from Attorney Fink, or to redraft?
I think it will be easier, faster to put together a
Redraft.
small paragraph addressing, the,
I agree.
but I'm gonna have to work with Ms. Fink to do this, right?
Right.
I'm not just gonna draft an agreement and say that's
Right.
it. So both sides will be on board, and, I don't see it taking much time as long as I just allocate an hour here or there,
Correct.
you know, to us.
motion, second.
Can you please,
Right, I need to read the motion. Yes, we've got it.
that's what I said, can you please read the motion
Yes.
again?
After Jeff's feedback, a motion to allocate our fire capture to Scio Township, subject to an agreement with council.
Our recent fire capture.
Second that motion,
Wait.
somebody?
Was there ever any other fire capture? That in?
You could specify it more.
Our fire capture
From the
begins,
election.
that begins in December 2025.
Could you repeat that?
Sorry, Linda, allocate a motion to allocate the fire capture from the Scio Township DDA to Scio Township for the capture beginning in December 2025, subject to an agreement with council. I wrote that down.
And continuing for up to 12 years.
And continuing for up to 12 years. I'll email you this.
Please, because your wording.
Yeah, I'll email you this. Just please.
I'll second it.
Okay, so that's Gable and Holland,
Jay, second the motion?
and this is money, is it a roll call?
Yep, all those in favor, first vote?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Yes.
Linda? Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries. So we'll work together with the council to finish that, send it over.
Perfect.
Then we'll,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Adjourn 12:58. Thanks, everyone.
What is the
about
next
the-
meeting?
What about the other
I don't have,
comments?
I don't have a,
What about the other one?
yeah, we can talk about that the next one, put it on the next number.
Yeah, but those
December.
are urgent, but they are not urgent tomorrow.
Francis.
Transit is.
Yeah.
Transit, I think we need to have a different discussion about. I can explain more about that.
I think we
Every month, cancel.
need to work on the transportation because it seems to be a cancer, seems to be growing.
It's right down the corridor. I mean, it's DD.
Percent, no one's arguing that point. Yeah,
Brings our workers.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's important.
So our next meeting is. Do we have one in August?
I think this is the August